we are looking at our first, most memorable and last games at Goodison Park. Dave Down is here. He's going to tell me about his first game, which interestingly, Dave, was not an Everton game, was it?
No, it wasn't Everton. It was in the Umbro Cup, and I got to watch Brazil against Japan. And with it being my first game, obviously not Everton related and things like that, only the stadium that you can see right now, it wasn't full by any means. And it was really interesting for the fact that I got to see the original R9 Ronaldo play and just absolutely rip Japan apart.
Yeah, Roberto Carlos was playing as well, wasn't he?
Roberto Carlos played, yeah. I think Rivaldo was on the bench, and when would that be? 95. I was 7 years old, and I remember coming to the game, and my dad used to say to me, "Oh, you know, you might not like it, son, because it's so loud in here. You know, you might get frightened and all that." I still do, but coming here, sitting at this angle as well on the family enclosure, I think that's the only time I've sat at this part of the pitch. And the thing we're seeing right now is, because we said there, Les, didn't we? Years ago, they didn't have this.
Yeah.
So obviously, if you're a kid, obviously the family enclosure, so you see loads of kids on here. I'm pretty sure you couldn't fully see the bottom of the pitch.
If you're at this height,
yeah,
all you can see is like the back of the advertisement.
Exactly.
But that must be why they all stand on here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's the atmosphere gets created. Maybe that's the reason they did it for. But I remember watching it from this angle, and obviously I think most of us have been in every sort of stand of the stadium at some point. Obviously, it's impossible to see sort of like every angle because you've got like one corner to the other on the Gladys, for instance. And this one, I picked my season ticket, which is up there. You can see the sort of second deck.
What flag's it behind?
It's behind the basically behind the North American Toffees.
Oh, sound.
Supporter network. I'm directly there, about, I don't know, 15 seats behind it. And it made me pick that game itself. I always had that in mind when I got my season ticket because of that panoramic view. So if you zoom back round there and you can see the angle I've got up there, I always think it's like the perfect angle. And the funny thing is, me and you, Les, have got pretty much that sort of place when we go to Bramley Moor as well. But I mean, seeing it from this side as well, I remember that my dad said to me, I said to him, why is the pitch, and you can't see it from the level you're at there, but why is the pitch always like on a hill? And he said, oh, it's called a camber.
Yeah.
And it's sort of like, it's for the water. I'm probably explaining things to people that already know this, so do excuse what I'm saying here, but you can see it right now, the angle you've got there. And I was thinking, doesn't the ball roll out to play then? Because it's like playing it in the streets and stuff like that. But, and yeah, that was my first game, was Brazil against Japan. Brazil went and won 3-0. And it was just something you never fully appreciated until you see Ronaldo become the Ronaldo and all that.
Weren't all the Japanese fans in the away bit in the Bullens?
Yeah.
They weren't they? They were all in that bit,
It was done like it was a proper official sort of fixture. It wasn't like a particular friendly. But to see that as a first game at Goodison, I don't know if people would like that or they wouldn't, to be honest with you. Probably not, to be honest, because it wasn't Everton to be the first game at Goodison.
I know, yeah, but it's a memorable
unique,
one, though, isn't it?
Unique, isn't it? Yeah, so that was mine.
At least you never saw Everton get beat.
That's right, yeah. First game was a win. My first Everton one, though, was at the Gladys Street. But that Gladys Street there, where we're looking right now, is where the sea is.
Yeah.
I was right by that, and it wasn't obstructed view, so that was great. And we got beat, I think it was 2-0 or 3-1 by Newcastle, but I'm talking about when Newcastle were at the peak. And Anders Limpar scored a consolation goal for us down this end. And I remember watching Newcastle thinking, wow, is this what it's like? Is this what you've got to be? And thinking, Everton are never going to be like that. Lo, we all were not. But seeing that down there, the proper atmosphere you got for the first time, that was what Goodison was all about that day. But yeah, they were a fantastic side. Like. And it took me, I think it was about, I'll have to check it, but about 4 or 5 games at Goodison before I seen us win, and it was 3-0 at home to Nottingham Forest, and I was in exactly the same seat, and Big Dung scored from a corner or a free kick it was, and I remember looking at the size, because I'm like the same height of him now, but back when I was like 8 years old, obviously I wasn't that tall. I just remember looking at him and thinking, he's an absolute giant. How doesn't he score goals every single week? Then obviously we found out that he was injured every other game.
Or suspended.
That's all suspended, yeah.
I am now with James Roberts, who you might know is a relation of mine. I'm going to talk him through his first game because it was actually on his first birthday, 19th of August 2006. Everton's first game at home of the season against Watford. We win 2-1. He's about this big, and we are on row double B of the park end. We used to sit just by the away. It's not a nice place to sit. Any recollection of that game?
Absolutely none. No, we've got photos of me, you, and Stu as well, but that's all I've got from my first birthday. I was doomed to this place, but yeah, I don't remember any of it, unfortunately.
But it was a win, at least.
It was.
An Andy Johnson deflected goal and the worst penalty decision you will ever see. Don't know if you've ever seen it back.
I don't think I have ever watched it.
Watford defender slides his hands like that. I don't know if it's Arteta hits the cross or someone hits the cross and hits his head and goes out. Clearly hits his head. Ref gives a penalty. No VAR in those days, and 2-1 win for the Toffees.
First I can remember of this ground is when we sat down in the lower Bullens.
Yeah.
And I don't remember the game, but I remember seeing Leighton Baines warming up down the touchline, and I knew at the time how good he'd been for us. This was 2015,
yeah,
I think, maybe.
Yeah, I think we got our season tickets over there, 2016.
Yes, this was probably the year before we got our season tickets. I do remember a few games being sat down there, not obstructed as much as some other seats in the ground, but still not a fantastic view in the lower Bullens.
Yeah, I think where we sat, we got the goals in, didn't we?
Yeah.
We weren't too much of a letterbox, and we got the goals in, so it wasn't bad. I think we got a half season ticket.
Was it?
First season, yeah. And then did a tour of the ground where you could just go right round the ground and pick your seat. That was like before there was any waiting lists or anything. It was just it was quite mad, really. I think we got in just in time there to get all our season tickets together. What's the first game you think you can remember?
I think the first game was when we sat up there in our park end seats now, and it was the 3-2 when West Ham beat us 3-2. Came back from 2-0 down, and I just remember leaving the ground that day, absolutely distraught, thinking, is this what I've got myself into here?
Yeah,
2-0 up, comfortable, thinking this is fine. But I wasn't aware quite of what Everton were at this point.
It's been said before, but once Everton's touched you.
Yeah,
I think Joe, your brother, for people who don't know, I think that was his first game that he remembers. Because his first game was Upper Street End, and we beat Stoke 4-0. His second game was the Upper Street End, and we beat Fulham 4-1. So he had a pretty good start to his Everton life there.
He did.
Yeah?
Yeah, again.
What's your most memorable game then?
Most memorable? I'm gonna have to go the one that you weren't at. The 2-0 against Liverpool last season. I still relive that night.
Yeah.
It's just me, Joe, and Pop sat in our seats. And,
Stu was there as well. He had my tickets.
Stu was there as well. Yeah, sorry, Stu. And yeah, just wasn't expecting it. I don't think I went to bed that night either. Yeah, I think that and also the 4-0 against Man United.
Yeah, that's.
I remember being sat in that seat and seeing Luca Dean's fourth. As soon as he hit it, you could see from where we were sat, it was just going bottom corner and nowhere else. And that was one of my favourite games as well.
That's up there with one of my favourites. Definitely, yeah. But that derby game, I was enjoying that in a pub down in Brighton.
You were at the Brighton Cop.
It was the Brighton Cop pub, which was quite funny. And your last game, of course, will be.
It will be Southampton.
Yeah. In the back corner of the park end. How are you feeling about it?
I'm trying not to think about it at the minute. I'm going to be a wreck, I think, on Sunday. I still can't believe it's this week already. It's come round so fast.
Yeah.
But just don't lose, Everton.
Yeah. Just give us that.
Just win. Yeah, that's all I ask.
Well, as it's your turn now. We're over at a different part of the park end because you're used to sitting all the way over in the corner there. This is the opposite corner.
Where the away fans sit now, which was just the home part at the time, because back in the 80s, the park end, the old park end, if anyone remembers it was just like a terrace and then one sort of tier of seating. That was the away end. So my first game was Everton 1, Tottenham 4, opening day of the 84-85 season.
Is there a common theme here, by the way? Always doing these shows. What was our first game like at Goodison here? Told you how much of an hardcore fan you are. If you never told you kept on coming.
But I don't remember too much about that game. The most memorable game was a couple of months later. I was sat up there in the top balcony when we beat Man United 5-0. And basically Man United were title favourites. At that point, Everton were doing well. They had a good end to the 84 season. doing relatively well, start of 85 after that Tottenham result. And United came to Goodison, all the press were expecting a Man United win, and the Toffees just ripped into them and tore them apart completely. I was 7 years old, and anyone who's been in the top balcony will know whether you're 7 or 70, it's terrifying up there. It's
just like where we're sitting now, probably more.
yeah, basically. It's so steep. And this is one where I remember walking out, like seeing the green of the grass. It was a lovely sunny, like autumn day. And just seeing the green of the grass, the blue of the stands, and the steepness and the height it was at, and I was terrified. And I said to my dad, look, if we score, can we not celebrate? Because I remember celebrating the one goal we scored against Tottenham. So I don't want any of that when I'm up there because I might fall out. Sure enough, we go in net 5. The most memorable, which for me was Kevin Sheedy's header, which he scored, and I think he got stretched off after that because he split his head open going for the challenge. But then when he went off the pitch and then came back on bandaged up, it blew my mind. I thought, how can you cut your head open and come back on the pitch?
Wouldn't happen these days, would it?
Wouldn't, no. He'd go for 2 weeks, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, that was definitely the most memorable. Like I said before with Jay, his first game up there, Joe's first game up there, that was memorable. My first derby down the street end, just sort of by that exit down there, we won 2-0. Mark Ward and Tony Cotty when Grobbelaar had the fight with McManaman. That was my first derby.
See, the whole reason why Les is here to do this is because I always bang on about him talking about the 80s all the time. He wrecks me head talking about the 80s. But I actually appreciate it now that we come in, you're telling me things that actually happened in front of me mind and things like that. As you go on to the early 90s, I mean, that's when things started becoming atrocious, didn't you, with Mike Walker and all that sort of thing. When you think back to that, probably shouldn't really ask you this, but the worst experience you've had here with an Everton game?
Oh God, I mean it's probably the Benitez derby, if I'm honest, because that was just like next level bad, and we were all expecting it. I think in terms of just like quite surreal moments, Howard Kendall's last game, we played
the 98 one.
No,
the one
93. Played Southampton, beat them 1-0, and there was 16,000 in Goodison. So you can imagine how sparse it looks.
So you look at this now, like everyone can see the stadium behind us. If you look at it and there was, 16,000, which is not even half the amount of fans there are, as we all know.
It was just pockets of people everywhere, it was mad. Obviously, the Park End hadn't been built by then, so it was still the old Park End. But yeah, there was just pockets of people around, it was mad. Other bad 90s memories.
Which haven't you got?
There's too many.
Have you got a day that wasn't like that?
No, I mean that was a rough time. That period, like Kendall Mark II, it just deteriorated. Like we were comfortably mid-table. I think there was 22 teams in the Prem then. We were always like about 16th, I think, at the time, 15th. So we were quite comfortably in the bottom bit of mid-table.
But we're taken out, to be honest.
Well, yeah, pretty much, yeah. But then it just unravelled. Mike Walker came. He was going to be the big saviour. He had a good season at Norwich. Everyone thought he's the next best thing. Turned out he wasn't. Got Joe Royal in. That went well, obviously, didn't it? But I just feel like we got him like about 5 years too late. Should have got him before we got Kendall back. But yeah, I think that's the thing when we go into the new ground. It's like you look around now and there's something, isn't there? I know it's not the same when it's empty, but there's something. You think when we go into the new ground and sitting there and it's empty, there'll be nothing. It definitely does absorb like memories down the years, doesn't it?
Well, this is it. I mean, since we've been lucky enough to go to the test event so far, but how many more? I don't know about you, Les, but I felt like there was still a bit of a feeling from here that we're going to take today, but some might say it's impossible to do that anyway.
I think it will be to a degree, won't it? Until we've sort of built up some memories there. I just hope like the decent ones to start with. I mean, the worst thing in the world would be to get beat in the first game there, wouldn't it?
I mean, that's nailed on.
Yeah,
nailed on. Southampton's going to beat us on Sunday. I've already said we will. Just to push on to mine, as it were, you mentioned about the Gladys and all that sort of thing, but you mentioned your derby memory too. And I was in the paddock. We'll probably get a little bit closer on in the video, but I was in the paddock. And it was when we beat Liverpool 2-0 and Ruddock scored the own goal. Oh, yeah. And Kadamasi, who we thought was going to be Pele, come up here and scored at the other end. And I remember it being ages before we'd won one. But we went, under Joe Royal previous to that, we went through a 4-year run without losing a derby here, didn't we? Yeah,
we think we beat him most. We beat him a lot in the 90s, feels like.
Yeah.
Because Kadamasi just turned Cavani inside out, didn't he? And then netted, yeah.
In terms of just finally ask you on this side of the ground in particular, I know you've been in the Park End for such a long number of years. If you had to pick one elsewhere from that, if we were still here, where would you want?
To sit? top balcony every time.
And that's because of what you said, how dangerous it is.
Yeah. No, I
just want to have another look at it.
Just from them, I've just loved it, and I just think when you're up there, I mean, it's really quite far removed from the action. Yeah. When you're up there, I just think the view, especially on a day like this when the pitch is immaculate and green, it's just something else about that up there. What about you? Where would you go?
I'd probably go Upper Bullens, and the reason for that being that it's relatively low, not like the opposite side, like you said there about the top balcony, but also it's where the TV is, the gantry's there as well. That's something I always wanted to do at Goodison and never get the chance to do so, is go on the gantry and get there. In the video you've probably seen a million times by commentators. I'd love to go and do that, even though I'd be the person that probably fell off the end of it. But yeah, in the middle of the park right there would be the one for me. But just finishing off this section with you, Les, I mean, did that make you feel upset? Did it make you feel any sort of emotion then, what we were just talking about?
No, I'm saving it all up for Sunday.
Is that what it's going to be after Sunday?
I think Sunday's going to be a big outpouring for a lot of people. Unless we all turn up and we're suddenly not bothered, I don't know. No one knows how they're going to react. I think it will be a big outpouring of emotion on Sunday though, for our last game.
It's going to be a strange one, isn't it? But anyway, that's Les on his favourite memories of Goodison and some of his bad ones as well.
Right, Dave, so we've done your first game. What was your most memorable?
Well, you might see that we're pretty much in the dark here. Now, if you turn that round here to where we're sat, this isn't the best of views, but it was the only ticket I could get. And I think it was only £9 to get the ticket in as well. Absolute bargain. You're not seeing that anymore these days, are you? But anyway, as we're looking here, you notice then that how low the ceiling is down. So me being quite tall, you can't see to a certain point certain heads of players. And if you remember, I think it's in and around the halfway line when Gravison just hoofs one up in the air. And here, that angle you've just seen then was like the ball came from nowhere, and Rooney in those Umbro boots, those golden Umbro boots that he had on, just brought it down. It just looked like, for any money in the world, it looked like it just came down from nowhere. Almost like, you know, when they kick the ball really high when they're doing the warm-ups and stuff like that, and all just doing keep-ups and all that. And it was just like, pretty much everyone knows when they've watched that and knows what happens after it. But he takes it there, and that goal he puts in, it happened almost in slow motion. You know, you get those moments of Goodison where it feels like things last an eternity to happen. And when he got that, it was just magic when that goes into that corner, and I can just remember Seaman with his ponytail, jumping at it. And the thing that got me about it, and actually I started crying when this happened, and I can say that because I was a kid at the time. But I got really emotional about it, given how good Arsenal were at the time. Now, if you remember, the Invincibles come a season or two after, but they'd gone on a 30-game unbeaten run in the Premier League. So they were at their peak of powers, and they should have went 2-0 up. They were winning 1-0. Remember, it was who scored the Towie? It was Carsley who scored the goal to get it back to 1-1.
I can't remember Rooney's goal.
I can't remember who scored the equaliser.
I was very drunk.
Yeah. And then what that happens at the end there, Rooney goes and does that, and obviously the place went ballistic. You can see the floor here. There's all the old wooden stuff, which I'm sure the Reds who watch this, because there's plenty of them, will be taking the piss out of the way it is. But having this angle of it, I've never had that feeling of euphoria before, and I know people say that about various moments, and I could probably go through a load like we have throughout the show about the best times you've seen at Goodison, but that one in particular, as a kid, was just ridiculous. And I don't know if many fans remember after it, because obviously it was go by the wayside because we went and won it 2-1 because of that. He runs over with Super Kev, doesn't he, there to the family enclosure. But if you remember, just after it, there's only a few minutes left, and he gets the ball again about the other corner of the 18-yard box there near the family enclosure, and tries to dink it over David Seaman, and that would have been even better than the goal he scored. And I remember when it happened, that was when people in and around are looking at each other like, this is something ridiculous we've got here. This is ridiculously a good talent, an amazing talent, one of the best talents you'll ever see in world football. And that's what it went on to be. But that night, I remember walking down, I was like, I can't believe we've beat Arsenal. Because when you go back through that stage, and when Moyes was the manager, that's when we started getting results against the bigger sides in the Premier League. But up to that point, if you were to get 3 points at home to like a top 3 or 4 side. It was like unheard of, wasn't it, for such a long time?
Yeah, it was.
End of the 90s and the early 90s until Moyes took over. And just to add one on to that, and I've picked that, but there's a few people I've spoken to that we were doing this, and they'd say it'd be a shame if I didn't mention it. But if you just turn around there to the paddock, where it has the various logos there, if you look at the Goodison Park one that's next to Castore, in the immediate one you can see to your left with the post in the way to the corner flag, that was where I sat for when Radzinski scored that winner against Southampton.
Oh yeah.
And obviously it's an appropriate time to mention Southampton. And I remember we equalised. We played really, really badly in that game, and we scored 2 in the last couple of minutes.
Yeah.
But that was like this party, and I did say, didn't I, earlier on in the show, I'd probably have the upper Bullens.
Yeah.
But here, a few little things have happened in this particular position here, particularly when I was younger, that make me feel like, you know what, I'm going to miss this. And I don't know, like, to end things, Les, we've basically been on this side of the pitch at the Park End, but this place, it's hit home for me how much I'll miss it.
Yeah.
Because I can't make Sunday's game. So this is the last time at Goodison for me, and I'm cherishing every single second we're here. But my word, everywhere you look, just an incredible place. And we've only been speaking about up to maybe half, not even half the amount of years.
Yeah, oh no.
Everton have been here.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you think every single part you look at, the seats, which I hope I'm getting mine for 90 quid. But there's another podcast about moaning about that, if you want to check that out. But this, I'm mumbling on now anyway. So I'm getting really emotional about this place is just immense. It's perfect. And you hear good commentators, pundits, what Goodison is going to be like.
Yeah.
And the fact that it ends in a few days and then that's it. I can't get my head around that, Liz.
I know. I think being in this stand in particular as well, because it's like the oldest stand in the ground. As you say, it's got the wooden seat, the wooden floors, which doesn't get enough attention because the noise that generates when it goes off.
I was just about to say that. That's one thing that's obviously, we're talking about how unique the place is anyway, but when fans used to stood up like that, or when we had a corner over on the Gladders, you can hear that sort of rumbling underneath, or when a player's getting towards their end of the pitch.
Yeah, it's just...
You're not getting that anymore. You don't get, where else do you get that? I mean, I think we've spoken about older stadiums that you sort of like quite a lot. Villa, Leeds, who are coming back as well. They're the proper, like us, have that original feeling of a stadium. As much as I love what Bramley-Moore is going to be like and how amazing it's been since we've been there, can't say a thing wrong about it. It's not taking any of this with it.
It won't be the same, like you said, because this has got something else. Even the way it's built, it's pretty ramshackle. It's been thrown up like as best it can be for like the time it was built to build 2 tiers. But that's what gives it its charm and its uniqueness, and that's the whole thing about Goodison. I think we're missing it. Yeah,
I mean every part you look of it. I mean, can you imagine though, Les? I mean, looking over there, Alan Ball.
I know.
Eusebio and Pele. Eusebio and Pele have been on that pitch. Yeah. You think of the players that have been on there from clubs.
You know, Dixie Dean scoring his 60th there. The Park End goal. It's like it has got so much history. The first purpose-built football stadium in the world.
The first, you know, the Reds who are watching this will take the piss out of us, but everything on the first along around the whole of the outside of every stand.
It is a bit dusty in here though, isn't it?
It is. It's be a bit dusty on Sunday. I know that.
Yeah, and, I will say though, for you soak up the last bit of this now, Dave, and I think for anyone coming on Sunday, just soak it all up and enjoy it while we can.
Yeah, don't miss a second of that game on Sunday. Stay as long as you can as well. I'm sure most fans will have to be getting dragged out by the stewards and whatnot. That's going to be looking after the place. And then the really sad thing about it is when they close the last door, when they turn the lights off, and it's a kind shame that it's had to happen, because how many times have we been through new stadiums, and let's face it, as good and as nice as Bramley-Moore is, we'd all want to stay here, wouldn't we, if we could?
I feel like that at the minute, yeah. Let's see how we feel next season, though.
Well, I mean that in terms of you'd never want to get the tiniest of touches. You mentioned,
wouldn't want to be anywhere
dusty,
else.
All of that.
Yeah.
Nothing will be like this. Nothing will beat it. And we're saying goodbye. Well, certainly I'm saying goodbye for the last time. Yeah, right. And everyone gets the chance to say goodbye at the weekend. Take it all in and enjoy it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening.